economies dig in for a potential prolonged and bitter trade war. Well, looking at the markets, in Asia Pacific has traded mostly lower today following a decline on Wall Street overnight. Investors are closely assessing quarterly earnings while ongoing concerns about tariffs continue to weigh heavily on market sentiment. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index dropped 1.91%, followed by mainland China's CSI 300, which gained 0.31%. Japan's Nikkei 225 fell around 1%, while South Korea's Kospi decreased 1.21%, while the small cap Kosdaq lost 1.8%. Australian markets have also plummeted alongside India's stock market benchmark indices, Sensex and Nifty 50, opening lower following the weak global trade cues. Asia's markets have taken a hit amidst the Nvidia stock rally. Investors are concerned that this could mark the beginning of a tech battle between the US and China. Well, joining us in the newsroom is my colleague, anchor and correspondent Thomas Porteous to dive deeper into these markets. Thomas, of course, the reaction that we're expecting to see from this latest US announcement might be felt in the coming hours. But what can you show us about the data and what it's been showing this morning?
Well, Josh, yes, of course. We will now dive deeper into the global stock markets. We'll start off with Asia, whose markets are close to closing. Let's start with the Hang Seng Index, which is Hong Kong's financial index. You can see today it has lost nearly 2%, minus 0.91% there, up from minus 409.29 points. This is today's graph. We can see it's been fluctuating quite substantially there, but opened has dropped lower for the day. Now let's look at the 5-day statistics. We can see some confidence gaining here, and then within the last 24 hours, we have seen this dip over here. We will now move on to the Shanghai index. This is today's financial markets. It is up a 0.26% today, plus 8.34 points. Not much confidence gained in the Chinese index there. We can now move on to the 5-day mark. Once again, looking at the mark, fluctuated quite a lot. This is from the past week on the Chinese stock exchange. We can see that it is very minimally creeping up despite Donald Trump's imposition of these tariffs. We will now move on once again. We now move to TAIEX, which is Taiwan's stock index. So Taipei has been losing confidence. We see a loss of nearly 2%, minus 1.96% there for the last day of trading, with markets just closing within the next few hours. We will now move on to the 5-day here. Here we can see the large drop that came 5 days previously, which has now been gaining a little bit of confidence and evening out there. We will now move to Japan's index. Japan's Nikkei 225 index here, dropping another 1%, a loss in confidence once again in Japan's index. We'll now move to the 5-day once again. A drop in 347 points. You can see here a make back of gains in the last 4 days, but once again it's been dropping off today. We'll now move to India's stock market, the Nifty 50. We can see a gain of around 0.45. India's stock has actually been doing very well in the past. After this crash, once Donald Trump's tariffs were announced, Asian markets fell throughout the whole Indo-Pacific. Nifty has actually done quite well in contrast to the other Asian markets. We can see some gain here of 0.45%. Now let's move over from the Indo-Pacific into Europe, where markets are just opening. We now see London's FTSE 100 which we can see some fluctuation here. They have opened up, but just slightly, but we have seen a decrease of 0.38%. These European stock markets are just starting to open. Let's move on to the 5-day mark for the FTSE. Let's move on to the 5-day mark. We can see here Donald Trump's announcement. We can see the losses that were made in Canary Wharf in London on the London Stock Exchange. And then we can now see that these markets are just going to open up, and we will bring you the updates as they come. We now move on to Europe's stock exchange, European Union, pausing their retaliatory tariffs for the United States. Let's see how they are feasing in confidence. As you can see today, 0.72% down today already for the European stock market. This down 3.68 points. Let's move on to the 5-day mark there. You can see this big loss that's reoccurring throughout Europe and throughout Asia. This big loss directly after Donald Trump's tariff flip-flap, his changing his mind, but yes, we'll move on. DAX-P, German's index, Frankfurt. You can see this is very similar to Europe. Once again, opened lower. We can see 0.47% down already today, and we will continue to bring you more news updates from the stock market as the European markets progress.
Absolutely. Thomas Porteous there providing us more of an insight on the live data as it is coming in. We move on but stay on the trade topic, and the video